Good. Oh, good. I already walked out on screen. Let's see. Twitch looks correct. Make sure that everything's set up and send out the tweet. All right. Should be good. And I guess let me make sure that my audio's on and send out. Aha! Sweet. So, hello everyone. This is Chris Ingerson, and it is November 2nd, and this is the November 2nd TextQuest Devstream. So, today, this is the first day back from the West Virginia Game Developers Expo. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, some of the feedback that I got, and then we're going to focus on combat tonight. Specifically, I'm going to try to polish it up a little bit, maybe try some fixes that I thought of at I want to say GDEX, but it's hard. That's not correct. That's Ohio. The West Virginia Game Developers Expo. And then we are going to see where we get from there, because some of the things that I'm going to be doing there are kind of weird. But I guess let's go ahead and get started walking around. So, general feedback from the West Virginia Game Developers Expo was, overall positive. I don't think I had anyone say anything really negative. The most common thing that I got, honestly, was where can I buy this? How can I give you money? And I had a couple of conversations actually on that day that was just like, well, people want to give you money. You should let them give you money so that you can develop this more. And yeah, that was a awkward conversation for me to have. So I'm going to go ahead and mute this, and I'm going to go ahead and get into combat. So there are a couple of things that are happening in builds, but not in the editor. The most annoying thing is you see this combat transition. Sometimes it breaks in builds, and I don't know what causes it. So at some point I'm going to need to make a development build, and actually look at everything, see what my logs are doing, see if there's anything weird. Because sometimes that transition just breaks, and that's really weird for me. I don't know why it does it. And it certainly doesn't look very good whenever we do that. Second thing is combat itself seems pretty fine. I don't think there are any bugs after we swapped over to using timeline, so that's a nice thing to have. I did have a few people in combat that tried to click up here, which is not entirely an invalid thing that they can do. They should probably be able to click on these as if they were buttons. But the other problem with that is that if you can't click on these, people will try, and then when they do that, you'll notice that the input down here gets deselected, which means that you might click up here, then you might try to type 1 and realize that didn't work, and then you have to basically figure out how to select this again, and that's a little bit too time-consuming. But the thing we're going to be doing today is... Oh, hold on. Dang it, I missed it. We're just going to have to play until we can get it again. It was perfect right there, of course. Primarily, the thing we're going to be focusing on today is I want to make it so that, one, it's impossible for your combo to hide words. You might have noticed that the word attack there was... Let's just go until I can get something here. The more I type, the more likely I'll be able to get it. Okay. Dang it. Oh, crap. That's doubling it. Mostly because that's a usability issue. You know, if people can't see the entire word, they might not be familiar with it, or they might have trouble typing, in which case you don't want to hide things from them. So that's something we need to fix. There it is. So you can see that attack here is partially behind the combo label, and that should never be the case. There should never be an instance where a word gets partially, or sometimes if it's the word hit, it can be almost fully occluded by this. And that makes it very, very difficult for people to type, to see what they're supposed to do. It's not an ideal situation. So we're going to try to come up with some way tonight to basically make that impossible. I think I know how to do that. It's going to be weird, but I think I do know a way to do that. On top of that, we might do a little bit of combat cutscene tweaking, just because there's still a couple of rough areas that I'm not super happy with. And I think that will largely cover the issues that I saw with combat this past weekend. So let's go ahead and turn this off. Oh yes, and of course, part of the wonderful, wonderful world of convention builds was I ran into a couple of more substance bugs in Unity. One of the bugs was a bug that I already reported, and they told me it was fixed. That's not true. So I have submitted repro builds, and that's what I've been doing actually for the first part of the week, it seems. Mostly just repro builds, trying to get Unity to get its stuff together on on Substance, which from Unite it sounds like there's pretty much no one over there doing anything with it, which is not that encouraging. So first things first, let's go ahead and go over here to Sewer Combat. I'm also going to delete this because I don't need it anymore. Let's see. Focus in here. All right. So on the whole, combat seems to be pretty well off. Actually, you know what? We might want to grab this to see if we're getting cut off. Yeah. Another problem that I've run into is some words on the player side can be slightly off screen. You'll notice that it's kind of outside of the frustum of this camera. So if we look at this, we go into orthographic, you can see this line here, which is where the attack areas are. It goes slightly outside of the camera's view. So we actually need to shrink that in a little bit. Let's see, we're going to go from the front. This right here. And I do not remember what this is. I remember that it is a canvas. So that's the battle canvas, I'm guessing. Alright, so we want a width of, I'm guessing, 8. Ooh. Okay. Oh, right, I had a power outage, which means that my numlock got reset. No idea why that's the case. Let's see if that looks right. 9. Yep, I think that'll work. Then our player attack point is there. Enemy attack point is there. Enemy attack point, we can actually probably go ahead and do that. Because the enemy attacks don't really need to be that far inland. Alright, so we can also actually, let me go ahead and find this. I think we're going to crank the amount of attacks that we can do, just so that I can try to have as many on screen as possible so we can see where their random sampling is going to show up. Let's see, we're looking for, I believe, is it not in the actual level? It might be in the menu. No, it's in the combat, isn't it? Let me see. Combat. Let's see, combat info. I believe this is what we want. Ah, here we are. Player info. Can we actually set these up to be the attacks? Fade in, fade out, duration. I guess it doesn't really matter because my attack messages are, I only have 6. So I could only really have 6 simultaneously show up on screen anyway. In that case, let's go ahead and save this and start combat again just to see what that sampling looks like. Make sure we don't get any that look too far left. I think just by shrinking that canvas in a little bit, that'll fix that issue. The next part is going to be a little bit more interesting. It's going to be us basically using the bounds of the rectangles that get generated, because you can actually do weird boundary checks on the screen. Admittedly, I haven't done this in a while, so it might be a little slow to start. But basically, you can set it up so that you can check the rect boundaries of an object on screen, so basically the rectangle that it takes up, just flat rectangle on your screen, and then you can check if that rectangle intersects with another rectangle. I'm trying to even remember where I used this last. It wasn't in my game. I think I used this at work, but I don't remember what I was doing with it. But it's got its uses, and it's very weird to do, but it can be very useful. So let's go ahead and just go into combat again real quick. We're just going to try to go through here. So yeah, our main goal is, yeah, you can see that there's like a bunch of them all stacked up right there. So that should also be something that we make sure doesn't happen. We don't want to have attacks stack, basically. Now it's not been the end of the world for me personally, just because when they do stack, as soon as you type, I'm going to go ahead and try to get this. I'm going to type hit. You can see that hit gets brought all the way up to the front. That's because the active attack that you're currently doing is actually drawn in front of all the other ones. But as you can see, it's still behind the combo label. So basically, we need to make sure that any attack that spawns is, one, going to be outside of the combo label, and on top of that, we need to make sure that when it's spawning in, it does not spawn in anywhere on top of or below another attack. So this, I'm curious to see what this ends up looking like by the end of the night. I think this will actually give us a nicer spread. Basically, instead of having things happen like this, where we might get a bunch of stuff up in, say, the top half of the combat area or the bottom half, I think this will force it to have a more reasonable spread all over the place. We'll see what that ends up looking like. That's my hunch, which is actually, I think, pretty good, because that means that it makes it feel a little bit more, how to phrase it, a little less hectic and a little bit more combative. I don't think that's the correct term, but it's what I'm thinking of right now. I do, however, worry a little bit about this. Okay, there we go. Where are you? Come on, there we go. Aha. So player attack area, we might want to shrink it down a little bit. I guess that's not too bad. Obviously, while we're doing this, we have to keep in mind that we do have this top bar here for vitality and troll. So we can't have attack spawn too high either. Otherwise, they could be partially occluded by that. But I think punch is pretty much as, excuse me, got the hiccups. It's pretty much as high up as it's going to get. Let's see if we can find it. Yeah. So it uses the middle point to determine if it's inbounds. So, I mean, it could potentially go up a little bit more. But I think if we just shrink this vertically, I think we'll be fine. Let's go ahead and close that. Oh yes, I forgot. Substances. So I guess it's just going to constantly rebuild them. Hooray! Let's see. Let's go back to combat. Oh yes. Side note, doesn't really deal with combat, but I have finally figured out a phrase that makes me happy with the use verb. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and show you that in the sewers. Although I can't. I guess I can say use hands. So for those who have been watching for a while, you'll know that one of the most agonizing things for me has been figuring out what to do when players type use. Because use could mean anything, and, you know, I don't want to make it so easy that you can just type use door or use key and it'll always know what you want to do, or rather give you the correct answer. So now if you type use, I'm going to say use self. Before I would randomly assume a verb and then spit that out at you, but that was too confusing. And then I had something that said use is too vague, be more specific. So, but that sounded too aggressive. I know that sounds weird, but not aggressive. It sounded too condescending. It sounded like I was saying, your vocabulary sucks. So I finally figured out what phrase sounds pretty good, which is when you say use, it's just going to say, how would you like to use the self? That's a little awkward. And then it just says, type V to see a list of verbs. And when you do this, you can actually just say how you want to do it. So if I want to say hit after this, it will know that I want to use myself in a way that hits me. So, oh no, it got cleared. Dang it, after all that grandstanding. I thought I fixed this. Well, now I just look like a fool. Oh wait, no, that's right. Wait, no, I fixed that. Dang it. I guess I didn't fix it. I thought I did. Well, that's depressing. Did that get undone? No, I wouldn't do that. Well, all right, we'll just leave it as is then. I guess that's something I need to redo. Weird. I could have sworn that I did that. Either way, I like that phrasing for use more, mostly just because it does not sound as condescending to the player. It makes it feel less like the game's calling you stupid and more like the game's saying you need to be more specific. How do you want to hit? Or how do you want to use? let's see, character positions, battle canvas, player attack point. All right, so we're going to shrink this in just a little bit. Let's see here. A height of 275, 250. Yeah, that's pretty good. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and do 275, and then we'll lower this position by negative. I'm guessing 0.2. Nope. Okay. 0.125. There we go. Because nope, that's also way too low. Okay, never mind. Wait, what? Negative 0.125. Oh, there it is. I knew you were my problem. Negative 0.125. There we go. I was gonna say that's way too far down. Let's see. Yeah, so having the words be a little bit lower to the ground is fine, because we have a lot of real estate down here. Not so much up top, but we definitely have some space down here. So let's go ahead and try to do basically the same for our enemy attack points, which appear to have already been affected by this. Yeah, this is why I hate using ProGrids whenever you're working in UI, because it just messes with you and you forget about it. Let's see. This one I'm not too concerned with. I can actually... Ooh, that was weird. Geez, ProGrids, did you just like completely mess with me? I'm just going to go ahead and relaunch this entire thing. Let's see. Battle canvas. No, I guess I must have done that before, because before they were the exact same. Well, that's not annoying. Alright, let's see. Negative 0.125, 275 for its total height. Let's see. Let's go ahead and raise our height to 300. I guess we'll just say 0. Yeah, there we go. That one's fine, being a little bit above, because you don't have to align yourself with it. Zero that out. Alright. That looks better. Cool. Let's see. So now I suppose we can... Let's see. Well, I guess we'll probably want to do combat view, I think. And then we're going to need to spawn. This is going to be fun. Let's see. Spawn. Show item select. Show decoration. It would probably be under TQ combat, wouldn't it? Let's see. Let's look for player attack area. Find all references. Alright. Player attack pattern. Okay. Now, let's see. On attack stop, start attack. There we go. So let's go ahead and go to start attack. Let's drag that over. Ah, dang it. There we go. Let's see. Start attack. Okay. Attack routine. Go to definition. This was just a bunch of nested stuff. I remember that. Alright. So here we want to actually calculate positioning. So you can see here that we're basically just grabbing a random X and Y coordinate within the rectangle of our attack area. But once we do that, we are going to need to basically calculate it. Oh, but that actually complicates things quite a bit, doesn't it? Let me think. So the problem is that one, we need a frame buffer because our attacks, they don't actually set their size, and therefore they're bounding rectangle until a frame has passed. So we need to be able to wait one frame. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and say yield return null here. Let's see, request. Okay, we request it. Start attack, get attack message. That's good. So waiting 1 frame, I don't think will kill us for every attack. I would prefer not to do that, just because that does technically mean that the player has 1 less frame to do stuff, but should be fine. Alright, so here's where it gets fun, if I can remember how to do this. So, we're going to want to say attack dot, do I have a cached transform? Good. Is it bounding rect? No. Yes, that might be it. Calculated rectangle, and unless this is the hold on. That's a rect transform. Okay, that's not as useful. Let me look this up real quick. Oh, well, that didn't work. So we're going to say unity bounding rect. I guess we'll probably want to specify game object, because there's a way to do this. No. It's not bounds. I know that this is super awkward. But there should be a way to do this. Screen rect. Box. Over width and screen space. I mean, see, I can't. The problem is that I have to do it with bounding rectangles. It has to be screen space. I cannot actually use rect transforms because the combat label is different. It's on a completely different menu. So I can't use that. Let's see. Let's see. Ah, is it in camera class? That might be. Oh, do I really have to use a renderer? That doesn't seem right. Alright, well, let's just try it. We'll try to mad scientist this. Let's see. So cache transform is our rect transform for that particular label. Then we're going to say, can I do bounds? No, I have to do rect. Alright, let's go ahead and do camera.main. I know we don't want to do this normally, but I just want to see if I can get this. Let's see. There's camera rect. See if we can see anything. Active texture, command buffer. There is a way to do this. I just need to remember how to do it. Let's see, force into render texture FOV, game object, component parents, stereo projection, element, HDR, active enable, blah blah blah. Let's see. Pixel rect, pixel width, rect, render, green path. Let's see. I guess I need to look up just screen space. So we're getting screen to world. I guess I could do stuff like that. Basically grab the corners and maybe the center of each box and say, I guess I don't need the center, I just need the corners, don't I? Because if I have the corners of each rectangle, then I can just say, at any point would these form a line that crosses another line? So I could do that. At which point that would be world to screen space, I think. A lot of stereo stuff that didn't used to be in there. That's interesting. This must be for VR, I'm guessing. I haven't looked at this stuff on the camera since 2017. Well, since 5, actually. Let's see. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like stereo target eye, which makes it seem like it's a VR thing. All right. Let's see. Transparency sort matrix, jitter projection matrix for transparent rendering, occlusion culling, velocity. Velocity? Huh. The world space speed of the camera? That's interesting. Wonder how it knows that without physics. Let's see. View forward point array. There we go. I think we want world to screen point is what we want. Yes. All right. Let's see. So basically, I think what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to grab the world to screen point of the 4 corners of this attack. Then we'll want to check if it's over. Oh crap! How are we going to know that? I was going to say then we would want to compare that with the combo label. Except I don't know how to do that. That's not right. Not at all. Let me think. Yada, yada, yada. Alright, I think I know what I need to do. So I guess we'll want to make this, it's a 4-element array of vector 2s, correct? Or is this going to give me a vector 3? Okay, vector 3s it is. Although I think that's a bit moot considering the fact that world screen point is 2D. Whatever. So this is going to be fun. Let's see. I might actually go to combat attack and add this as a feature. So let's see here. We're going to want to say, oh man, I guess that's a little unpleasant. I was going to say I could just generate these and then cache them, but that's not accurate, actually. I probably want to recalculate these things every time I access them. Mostly because there could be moving attacks, and in those cases I would need to make sure that I, well, track them as they move. So let's go ahead, let's see, attack message, get return attack message. All right, so we're going to say public vector 3. I can't call it bounds. I guess I would say corners. So we're going to say get vector 3 corners is equal to new vector 3. So it's going to be a size 4 forever. And we'll return corners. All right. Oh, right. I got to make that an array. There we go. So we're going to want to say, jeez, I really feel like I should calculate these and cache them because otherwise, I don't know. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and cache these. That way, if I need to rebuild them, I can instead have a manual function that just says rebuild them. That'll work. That way, I'm not constantly accessing them. I prefer to do it that way. Yes, I see you, cat. I know you want attention. All right, so that means I'm actually going to move corners from here to, let's see, it's attacking. I suppose it should probably be protected. So we'll go ahead and say protected, vector 3 corners. Let's go ahead and go up here. Jeez. I guess I also want to have a bool here, so protected tool has moved is equal to false. That's disgusting. We're going to say if has moved. I don't really like that. Jeez. I'm trying to think about how we want to structure this in a way that makes sense, because I need to make sure that I populate these, but I would prefer not to have like a function that gets set up to do that. So we have a fade coroutine, which I'm sure is just going to fade it in. That's not really good enough. We can't position it, and I would prefer not to calculate corners based on that. I don't want to say has moved. Instead, I'm going to call it is dirty. Jeez. So if is dirty. The question there is, when does is dirty get set to true? Surely it shouldn't just be in the corners. Is there an initialize function? No, there's just the fade coroutine. Oh, there's the refresh label, I suppose. Let's see. Highlight. That's good. That's good. So we'll go ahead and say is dirty is equal to false. Okay. And from that, we'll go ahead and also say cache transform. So we're going to say rect r is equal to cached transform dot rect. Let's see if this works. I'm a little worried that that is not really going to do what I think it's going to do. So we're going to go ahead and say for int I equals 0, I is less than. Wow, that does not work at all, does it? So we're just going to say r dot min corner of the triangle. Yeah. Well, we'll see what this ends up doing. So I'm going to say corners. Wow, this is annoying. So ideally, the order would be top left, right, bottom left. So it's like a clockwise formation. I guess I'll start at the top right instead. Otherwise, my code's going to get kind of messy here. So I'm going to say corners of 0 is equal to r dot max. So max is the top right of the rectangle. Min is the bottom left. So I will then say corners of 1 is equal to new vector 3 r dot max dot x r dot max dot r dot min dot y, and then r dot max dot z. Corners of 2 is equal to, that's just r dot min, and then corners of 3 is equal to basically this. What? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Yep. But the takes. Okay. Let's see. R dot left. That's probably depreciated. There we go. I guess. Oh, come on. Really? Fine. 0. I guess it doesn't really matter, honestly, for z-axis. Considering we just want the actual on-screen rectangle, so z is kind of a non-factor there. Let's see. So this one is actually going to be min x and max y. Okay. Tag message dot insert blah blah blah. Okay. All of that stuff is fine. I guess. Jeez, I can't do that, can I? Refresh label actually would not work correctly. Because it's not going to have that frame buffer, which means that we have to have a freaking coroutine for this. Boo! Alright. Let's go ahead and say public void recalculate corners. Let's go ahead and grab this. I have to use a coroutine, don't I? Protected by enumerator. I guess I'll just call this calculate. Corners coroutine. Say yield return null. We will wait one frame so that we can ensure that the text label has been changed. So we're just going to say start coroutine, calculate corners coroutine. Here we'll just go ahead and say recalculate corners. All right. God, that doesn't really help that much. But I suppose we'll see what this does. So basically, if it is dirty, we will go ahead and say refresh. Refresh label, which should generate our corners, and everything should be... that won't work! Because it needs a frame! Dang it! You've got to be kidding me. So... Hello, Josh. How are you tonight? Saw a ladybug in my house, and I went to Walmart, bought 2 cans of Raid, and used them all. You must hate bugs if you're using 2 cans of Raid. Especially since I don't think Raid was really developed for ladybugs. I feel like it was more for hornets or cockroaches. Not sure how well that would work on lady. I assume it would kill it, but you know. But seriously, this sucks. So corners does not really work here. God, that sucks. I really don't want to make it a callback-driven affair either. I guess I'll just have a refresh label immediately. God, this does not work very well. Okay. Or you know what? No, refresh label will not wait for 1 frame. Where are you? Here we are. We'll move recalculate corners. So we'll actually move this to here. We'll move this into that coroutine. And then we'll put this here. That will work a little bit better. So basically, recalculate corners will immediately tell us what our corners are, and when we refresh the label, we will have a more soft refresh or recalculation of those. It died, so I guess it works. Well, yeah. I assume something that's meant to kill hornets will probably kill ladybugs. Let's see. Alright, so we can just say refresh label, except actually we don't want to do that there. Instead, we want to say recalculate corners. Alright. And I suppose in recalculate corners, we will go ahead and say if is dirty refresh label. So we'll still clear it and do everything that we need to do, but recalculating will immediately give us our bounds that we need. All right, so that makes it a little bit easier to work with. So that means that we can just do this attack dot corners. Let's see. So that's going to be a vector 3. Vector 3 corners is equal to that. It's an array, though. Oh dear, this is going to suck. Oh no, I'm going to have to wait a frame every time. Oh, that's so not going to work, is it? Freaking Yugui. No, I don't need to do that. I don't think that the rect needs to be updated every frame. Um, when you're in the checkout line, you're telling everybody you have bugs in your house. So I guess we can. I think we can move it, and then it should be fine as long as we don't have to rebuild text. Hopefully, we'll find out. Um, all right. So we have our corners for our attacks now, and now we need to basically figure out if those corners ever intersect with another attack's bounds. So I suppose we can just add that to the attack pattern as well. So let's see, get expected letter. Let's go ahead and say public bool intersects with vector 3 corners. Go ahead and take that. All right, so we're going to return false by default, and then we're just going to say, oh geez. So if, how to phrase this, if the top right of the corners that are passed is greater than the, how to phrase this, is greater than the top right of this attack's corners, and the bottom that's passed in, the bottom right of the attack pattern that's passed in is greater than the minimum of this attack. It's just a rectangle check, basically. It sucks. I don't like doing these things. What are you trying to do? So basically what I'm trying to do currently is come up with a way to prevent attacks from overlapping each other. And then eventually we will move on to figuring out how to prevent attacks from showing up behind the combo label in combat. Because those two things together are very confusing for players. So I'm basically trying to prevent that from happening. And it's not super fun because reasons. Basically, we have to calculate the rectangle of each object on screen and then check if it overlaps. And I could have sworn that there was a way to do that in Unity already, because I've used it in the past. I just can't remember what it was that I used it with or how I did it. Why can't you have a predefined path? Well, partially because it's a random selection of words, so I can't really plan out those paths. And I would feel like it's kind of boring if I do that. It also doesn't help that each type of weapon is supposed to have different types of patterns that you get shown. So for blunt weapons, which includes your hands, they're just kind of randomly popping up. But for things like swords, it's more like a command line thing where you type one word and then another one cycles down, and then you type that one and then another one cycles down, and so on and so on and so on. But because of the current way things are set up, it's just supposed to be random within an area to give you a little bit of variety. And why can't you just make a 2D box collider as a trigger? Well, a couple of reasons. One, the thing that it's colliding with is actually in front of it, technically. They're not necessarily going to... So that would work for the attacks themselves, but that doesn't work for the combo label, because the combo label is on a different layer and is in front of it. Like Z-axis, it's not in the same spot. So 2D collisions wouldn't actually detect that. Instead, we need a way to basically detect these things at runtime in 3D that 2D box colliders ignore Z? Really? I thought that they had to be on the same Z for 2D box colliders to work. I thought that if they were on different Z positions, they wouldn't actually recognize one another. I could be wrong on that. I haven't really used the 2D physics system. But I also feel like if I I also feel like if I pull in the 2D physics system to this, that just complicates things even further. Because that means that I have both 3D and 2D physics systems in my game, and that would probably bloat my build size a little bit. Yeah, I knew it. Rect.overlaps. Aha! There is. Um, let's see. What's that? Okay, so there is a way to do that. Give me a second. There's also rect.intersect. Let's see. All right, let's see. So I might not have to do this. This might just be me being way more complicated. Instead of doing that, I think I can just do this. Attack.cache transform dot dot rect dot overlaps. Haha! With another rect. So I basically need to loop through all of my existing rects. Okay, that makes things a lot easier. So let's go ahead and go back here to a combat attack. I don't actually need that. Although I guess I can just pass in this rect and say how about return cache transform dot rect dot overlaps rect. My only concern here is that I'm like 90% sure that this is going to use local space, not world space. Therefore, it's not really going to give us what we want. I'm pretty sure system even has an overlap function. Yes, I knew it was in there. I was just too excited about going and overcomplicating things, but that's because I tend to do that. All right. So in that case, I can instead just kind of loop through my current attacks, and so we do need to still yield for 1 frame, I'm pretty sure, but we don't need to constantly yield anymore. Instead, I can now say, wow, this is going to be super weird. Okay. Bool overlaps is equal to false. That's not going to be true. Well, we'll say false for now. We're going to do a for loop. Gross. I have to do a for loop and then a while loop with that for loop nested in it, because I can't just go straight into a while loop. Otherwise, it gets kind of weird. So let's go ahead and say for int I equals 0. I is less than attacks.count I plus plus. Anyways, I have a Harry Potter movie to finish, Prisoner of Azkaban. It's a pretty good one, although admittedly I haven't seen the movie in a long time. The book was good, although also I haven't read it in a long time, not since I was a kid. That was a really long time ago. Have you seen those movies already, or are you just watching them for the first time? Alright, so we want to loop through all of our existing attacks, and then check if it overlaps. I'll see you in 1 hour and 15 minutes. Well, I'll probably still be on, so. Watching them for the first time. Alright. Alright, well thanks for stopping by, Josh. Alright, so we want to basically loop through all of our existing attacks, check if they overlap. If they do, we'll set overlaps to true. We'll break out, and then we'll do a while loop that says while we are overlapping, set our position again. I really hope I don't have to yield a frame every time I do this. That would suck. So, let's go ahead and say if attacks of I dot intersects attack dot cache transform dot rect. We're going to break out, and we're going to say overlaps is equal to true. And then we're going to have a while loop, while overlaps. Yeah, this is going to be a little weird. We're going to go ahead and say attack dot cache transform dot anchored position is equal to new vector 2 x and y, and then I have to recalculate all that fun stuff. So we're actually not going to do that in the while loop. Crap, I have to do that in the while loop. Boo! Okay, so I'm going to be doing that a lot. That's not exactly great. So we're going to go ahead and do... We got to recalculate x and y. Let's go ahead and grab this. Say random.range again. So we're just going to randomize that stuff, and then we're going to go ahead and loop through everything again. Not ideal. And then we will break out. And then, actually, if we get through that entire for loop, we're just going to say else if I is greater than or equal to attacks.count -1. Then we are going to break out. And we're going to go ahead and... we don't need to break out. I can just say overlaps is equal to false. Okay, that should be good. Is that all I really need to do? Yeah, might be. All right, in that case, let's see, am I using you anymore? Nope, getting rid of you. Do not need it anymore. Don't need you either. Let's go ahead and scroll down here. Get rid of you. Get rid of you. Probably is a bit full. I'm probably a bit full of hubris getting rid of these before I know that I don't need them. All right, so I think this will not solve our problem with the label, the combo label, but it should solve our problem with attacks. Hopefully. I am a little skeptical, but we will find out. So let's go ahead and go to the sewers. Because we can't start combat while we're in combat. Alright. So. Once this is working, assuming that this is working super well, we might do that little parser thing that I was talking about earlier that clearly did not work. Take the troll. No, I want to hit it. Okay. Yeah, so this combat transition, by the way, I have yet to see a single build that has it work fully. The spiral and fade to white seems to happen, but as soon as you get into this cutscene, where it does like the camera pan backwards, or I guess dolly backwards, and then the two black screens kind of fade open, those two black bars just never happen in builds. No idea why. No idea why. It's infuriating, but something that I need to sit down one day and just be like, okay, we're gonna look at this and figure out why it's doing it, because it's dumb. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's dumb. All right, stomp. Ooh, that. Uh-oh. While loop. Yep, there it was. We got stuck in an infinite loop. How wonderful. Let's see. That's very impressive. Oh. Wait, no, I haven't added this attack to the attack list, right? Yeah. How did I get stuck in an infinite loop? That's a rookie mistake. That's really bad. Oh, good. Well, I'm going to have to force quit. There is a way to break out of Unity in an infinite loop. I just never remember what it is. All right. So let's go ahead and bring that back up and hope that it doesn't try to re-import the entire project. So let's look at our stuff here. Oh, also, well, no, that should be fine. How on earth did I get stuck in an infinite loop? It must need a frame. It must need a friggin' frame. Okay, we'll do that. Oh, crap. Wow, that was terrible timing. I hit enter as soon as this popped up. Come on. Oh, jeez. Yes, I want to save. Come on. Come on, Unity. I believe in you. There we go. So we're going to go ahead and do a yield return null here, which means that I actually need to move this into a separate coroutine per attack, because of course I do. But for the time being, this isn't too bad. I can just have it be on the same one. The amount of frames that I'm probably going to have to wait is pretty small, I would think. God, that does suck, though. I might... Jeez. It might be easier instead just to have like a list of dead zones, which are invalid coordinates, which would have to be... basically, they'd be the squares that are occupied, or the rects that are occupied. And then we just randomly pick all of our values until we get a rect position that is not inside of the bounds and is not... and none of its corners are in the bounds. So we're going to go ahead and do hit here. Let's see what this does. We're in a battle. Oh, goodness! Goodness gracious me! Okay. Sorry, that's just really funny. Yeah, that is not going to work. Okay. Um, hmm. Crap. Yeah. So I think it's doing what I was saying it would do, which is basically the way rects work is they use local positioning, I believe. I can double check that though, but I'm pretty sure that it does. So let's go ahead and I'm going to, let's see, direct. Yes, Gan, I see you. So we're just going to go ahead and debug, not the cat who jumped up on top of my keyboard. Let's go ahead and grab this. I'm going to debug .log. Let's see. Can I do bounds? No, but I can do min and max. So let's go ahead and do .min plus blah blah plus attack dot cache transform dot rect dot max. So we're going to separate this, and we should be able to look at this to see what our min and max are. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh man, that was magical though. Although it was weird, you could tell that it was moving around, but apparently, I mean, it has to be using local coordinate calculations. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. It wouldn't make sense as to why that one label kept jumping around, other than it just thought that it was overlapping. So let's go ahead and say hit. Alright, so let's go ahead and do battle, attack. Oh, right. Oh! Interesting. Oh, wait, no. Okay, I was going to say, it's not showing it. Yep. So, that is definitely overlapping. And you can see that they're on the same min and max Y. Which means, yes, they are using actual Freaking, of course they are. So the cached rect is not reliable. Is there a get world rect or something? Get world corners. Ah! Ah, you've got to be kidding me. All right. Hold on. Yeah, freaking awesome. Cool. So, for those of you who have never extended Unity's built-in functionality, you're in for a treat. We are going to go to rect transforms. Oh, good. Doesn't exist. Well, I'm going to add that. So let's go ahead and go to SleepYowlSoft, Common, Extensions. We have a transform extensions. I'm going to add a rect transform extensions. Rect transform. Nope, not extensions. Extensions. All right. So this is basically going to be a class that allows us to extend the functionality of rect transforms. So we're going to change this to a static class. Cool. Don't need to do Unity engine.ui. So instead I'm going to go ahead and say public static bool overlaps. We'll take a rect transform. And actually, we need to change this so it says this rect transform. Rect target check. Okay, second rect needs to have a better name than rect. I guess we'll say overlap rect. Or I don't want to call it overlap rect because it might not be overlapping. I guess we'll just call it target. All right. So this is going to be fun. We're basically going to say vector. I think it's vector 3 array corners is equal to rect dot rect. Oh, no, sorry. Dot get world corners. Oh, okay. So I guess that just fills it to corners. So that's actually going to be new, not rect, new vector 3 array. I'm assuming that I need to be initialized to 4. This will be past corners. Presumably that is correct. Let's go ahead and duplicate this. We're going to call this target corners. Target corners. All right, and then we're going to say target rect, just target dot get world corners, and then target corners. I don't know if I need to pass this or not. It's probably not going to tell me. I guess I could probably peek this and see what the comment is. The array, not the array. Okay. Corners are filled into. I might look that up real quick. I want to make sure that I'm using that correctly. So we're going to say Unity rect transform get world corners. Make sure that I'm setting this up correctly. Okay, yep, I was right. Gotta initialize it. Makes sense. Let's go ahead and go back here. Crap, I didn't mean to do that. All right, so we're going to do overlaps, and then we're basically going to have to do that manual calculation that I was talking about. So I'm going to want to say, is my min greater than blah, 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 all that fun stuff. And then apparently I have to also pet the cat because she wants all of the attention in the world and she doesn't care that I Devstream. All right. So, yeah. God, I hate doing these sorts of calculations because they're so freaking... They're not hard, they're just tedious. So, let's see. I believe I want to say... Basically, I want to check if the target rect is within the bounds of the regular rect or the other way around. Well, actually, no, I should only need to do it one way. All right, so we're going to say if hold on. Wow, crap. I also don't know what order those corners are in. Let's see. Does this tell me? Is clockwise, starts at the bottom left and rotates to top left? How is that clockwise? Oh, okay. Oh, no, okay. It rotates to top left, then top right. Okay. I thought it was saying that it started at the bottom left and ended at the top left. I'm like, that is not clockwise. That is the opposite of clockwise. Let's see. Finally, bottom left. Note that bottom left, for example, is an XYZ vector with X being left and Y being the bottom. Yeah, that's okay. If the vector transform is rotated Z and Z, then the dimensions. That makes sense, I guess. Okay. I don't think we need to worry about that. At least I hope. Oh, geez, this is gonna suck. Okay. So we're gonna actually have to do this several ways. We need to check if it overlaps, which will be a true overlap. Then we will need to check if it overlaps 2D, ignoring Z. And then we will need to check if it overlaps screen space. Brr. That's not great. Okay, so we know it starts at the bottom left and goes in clockwise fashion. So, all right, we're going to do, let's see. If corners of 0 is less than target corners of 0 and corners of, geez, hold on, I gotta remember how to structure this. And corners of 1, I can't do greater. Oh, right. Oh no, it's vector 3s. Right. Of course I have to do this wonderful math calculation. Right. So I actually feel like there's probably some sort of trigonometry function that would know this always. Oh, that would always give you an accurate result. But in this particular thing, I actually think I want to do dot y's, then dot x's. Yep. All right. So dot y. Oh, come on. Dot y is greater than corners. I'm sorry, not corners. Target corners of 1 dot y. So if those are the same, oh no, I'm sorry. So if the target corners are contained inside the corners, then that means that there is the potential that it's inside the rect. I'm overcomplicating this. There is an actual way for us to check this. I really don't want to just brute force write all of these conditions, though. That would suck. Just finished it. The guilty guy was never caught. Wow, that was a short hour and 15 minutes. Yeah, if I remember correctly, no. He is not. He gets away because he's necessary for the next book. If I remember, well, next movie, I suppose. Yeah, so basically we want to see if it's within these bounds. So that's the top check. So that's the Y check, but then we need to see if our X bounds are within that. God, that can't be right. That cannot be right. No, I'm not doing this right. It's corner Y is greater than corners 0 dot Y, which basically means that it is inside of this in the vertical. And then we're going to go ahead and say and corners of 0 dot x is less than target corners of 0 dot x and corners of 1 Oh, nope, not 1. Of 2. Dot x is greater than target corners of 0 dot x. So in this case, the bottom left corner of our target rect is inside the target rect that we're checking against. Don't spoil it. Yeah, I didn't spoil it. I just said that he's used in that next movie. I think that that's not a spoiler thing to say if he gets away. I think this is the best movie series I've ever watched. Wait till you get to the end. Then again, the end was kind of meh. Anyway. Um, but on the whole, I guess it was pretty good. Can't beat John Williams for his musical scores. Although I don't think he scored it after the first one. I think he only did the first movie. And after that, they got. I don't remember who. But I'm pretty sure it wasn't him. I could be wrong, though. Let's see. God, I just hate doing overlaps. Is there already something built into Unity for this? Probably not. I guess I could convert these to rects. Actually, would that work? No, because I have to... No, it would. It would. This would work. Yeah, so I don't see a reason for me to calculate all this out when instead I could just do this. All right, so we're going to want to say... I can't do rect. Instead, I have to do rect main rect is equal to new rect. So we just need to give this a... Oh no, I need to give it a position. Well, okay, I can do that. So we'll give it a position, which will be our rect dot position, and then a... Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Is it because it's... Yeah, fine. We'll do... I can't do anchored position. Ah! That won't work. No, we'll just do rect dot position. That should work just fine. And then I need to give it a size. So we're just going to say new vector 2. Let's see. So this would be rect. No. It would be corners of 2.x minus corners of 0.x. That gives us our width. Comma corners of 2.y minus corners of 1.0.y. So it gives us our size and our positioning. That's our main rect. That's good. And I can just move this, paste this here. We'll say target rect. Can I do that? Yep. So we're just going to convert this to target dot position. Then convert these to target corners. Oops, crap. There we go. Target corners, and so on. So now I can actually just do the overlap on these guys. So that with this I can just say return main rect dot overlaps target rect. Cool. I think that'll work. Hopefully. How did they do the animals? This was made 10 years ago. Well, I mean, never underestimate the power of money. I think that Hollywood was dumping, well, Warner Brothers was dumping like $100 million. Well, maybe not that. Well, no, that seems actually right for a summer blockbuster of the Harry Potter caliber. Probably way more than that, honestly. They were putting a lot of money into this. Like a lot of money into it. It also helps that 9 times out of 10, the animals that you see aren't super well lit. Like when they have the scenes in the forest, they're usually at night or it's dark. I mean, they do have the owls that you see in the middle of the day, and then things like the snitch, which are already mechanical, so it doesn't actually look weird when they have that kind of glossiness that that 3D or CG things had back then. But yeah, I think this will work. I also think that this will work for everything. It'll always be correct. Hopefully. We'll find out. All right. So let's try this. So we're going to change this. And we're basically going to say instead of dot intersects here, we'll get rid of you. We're just going to say dot cache transform dot overlaps with this. Okay, I think this will work. Let's go ahead and copy this. And put this here. Let's see if this works. I'm hopeful. So let's see. It's not CG because it casts shadows. Realistic shadows. I mean, it's still computer generated. Just because it casts shadows, that can also be done with CG. I was going to say CG graphics, but that's a bit redundant there, I think. Yeah, I mean, they knew how to do light calculations back then and how to cast shadows realistically. The technology wasn't super great at it, but they could try to do it. But yeah, I mean, when you have a huge budget like the Harry Potter films did, well, yeah, did, and I guess technically do still since they're making more of them in the universe anyway, the Harry Potter cinematic universe. Yeah, when you have that much money, you can make pretty much anything look good. No, that's not working at all now, is it? Phooey. Don't tell me that they are freaking also using local positioning. That would anger me so very much. Let's go to definition. That would anger me so very much. So very much. So let's go ahead and I'm going to debug debug.log main rect. God, I wish I could just quickly grab its bounds and position and stuff. But I think I need to do min and max. So we'll say min plus plus main rect dot max plus new line. We'll go ahead and copy this. Plus all this fun stuff. Target rect. So at the very least I can see if these are overlapping with math. Let's see, combat attacks. No attack pattern. Yeah, we want to get rid of you. Don't need you anymore. Alright. Meh, I'll be back in 2 hours. Watch the next one. It's really only 2 hours for Goblet of Fire? I thought that one was like a super long movie. It's definitely the longest book. Well, no, I think technically Order of the Phoenix was slightly longer. But after that, they started shrinking in terms of size. So, either way, hopefully you enjoy it. Goblet of Fire, I think, is my favorite out of them all. Yeah, 2 hours and 30 minutes. That seems a little bit closer to being what I expect. Either way, hopefully you enjoy it. It's probably one of the most exciting ones, I would say, just in terms of all the stuff that happens, and it's all really well done. Let's see. I'm going to do a battle here. Let's just keep watching. No, you lie. Well, not really. It just means that I'm incompetent. Wow, that... Is that right? Alright, I'm going to also debug the name. So let's go back over here. And we'll go ahead and say... Let's go ahead and grab this. Plus line plus rect.name plus plus target.name. Okay. So that should give us a better idea of who we're looking at the very least. because these wouldn't overlap, right? This is the min and this is the max. But how can these overlap? They don't. Well, never mind, I guess. No. Yeah, that doesn't work. Their y's are completely separate. How is that overlapping? Huh. Did I maybe do it backwards? Maybe I did it backwards. No, because it wasn't jittering around. It just determined that they weren't overlapping. Um, It's not as long as Passengers, 3 hours for a bad space movie. Passengers didn't look that super great. Did have Chris Pratt in it, but, you know, concept kind of looked bad. Not gonna lie. Although I guess I haven't seen it, so I don't know. It just didn't really draw me in. I just remember seeing it, and I'm like, it's kind of been done, I think. Actually, no, I know for a fact that that's been done. God, what other movie did it? It was an old space movie as well. God, what was it? It was super weird. I don't remember. But it was also kind of. Let's see here. So it clearly thinks that overlapping is happening. No, I'm sorry, it doesn't. It doesn't think that overlapping is happening, which is correct. Yes. Because maybe those ones didn't. But I don't know. That's really weird. Well, all right. Let's just go ahead and let it happen. See what it is. It has burning fire in space. Stop carrying it. But don't you know that fire doesn't need oxygen to burn when the dramatic stakes are high enough? Come on. You can't expect really any science fiction. Well, they call them science fiction, but honestly, I think it's just fantasy in space at this point. Yeah, no, a lot of movies that come off as sci-fi seem less like they actually are sci-fi and more like they are fantasy with sci-fi themes. Like they are set in a. We call it sci-fi because we don't really have a good term for it, but it's not really science fiction. Star Trek is science fiction. Star Wars is science fantasy. But people would still call Star Wars sci-fi. But that's not correct because there's not really science fiction to it. They don't care to establish the science part of it. They just want to have their cake and eat it. All right, so basic attack. Oh crap! Right. That's not going to work. We're going to have to change this real quick so that when we spawn these, we actually change their name to be the name of their attack. So let's go ahead and say start attack, peak definition. Here's our word. Yeah, let's go ahead and go do this real quick. So this is going to be purely an editor feature so that I can debug this stuff a little bit easier. But let's go ahead and add it either way. So we're going to go ahead and say private string cached name is equal to nothing. We're also going to wrap this in if unity editor and if all right. Come down here to start attack. Let's see, attack message is equal to word. Let's go ahead and do this too. So if unity editor and if. All right. Well, have fun. Hopefully you can enjoy it a little bit more than a terrible space movie. We're going to say cached name is equal to name, and then name is equal to cached name. Oh, crap. hold on. Yeah, cache name is equal to, or name is equal to cache name plus attack message. Let's go ahead and also add just a string buffer here. So parentheses plus parentheses. And we're also going to say if cached name dot is null or empty. So if it's an empty string, basically, then we'll set it. Otherwise, we don't want to. When we recycle, tongue twister. When we recycle the attack, its name would obviously keep getting appended, which we don't want. So I'm just gonna cache it right here, and we'll set it. That way, it's a little bit easier to look at, and I can easily tell and identify each one by name. All right, so let's go ahead and clear that out. Hit play and see what happens. Let's hit it. Figure out which ones it thinks are overlapping. Let's do a battle. There, both of these ones are overlapping. So we want stomp and punch, basically. So are these guys overlapping? Yes. Then why does it think that they're not? Okay. God, I must be doing something dumb. Like something really dumb. Let's see. Am I looping through too incompetently? That's the only thing I can think of. I mean, I guess I can go back here to transform extensions and append whether it actually thinks that they do as a like final check to make absolute sure that I am not looking at the wrong ones. All right. It just seems weird that they don't think that they're overlapping when clearly they are. In any case, while that's compiling, for those who are curious why I'm only renaming my attack or my combat attacks if it's the editor, it's because when you rename something, or rather when you access the name of something using like gameObject.name or whatever .name, that actually generates a little bit of garbage because Unity just does that, presumably because of a bunch of safety checks that it has to do. But basically, it has to do. But basically, whenever that happens, it generates a little bit of garbage. So to avoid that, I'm only going to do that in the editor, and only for debugging purposes. Because there's no point in there's basically 0 point in renaming something in a build because you will almost never need to look at it. You'll never need to know its actual name. Okay, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. There we go. So it looks like crush and punch. There. How on earth do you not think that you are overlapping? You both start with the same. Wow, wait, hold on. How is that even possible? It starts and ends with the same values. That is... I don't understand. That has to be like a floating point error thing where it's too close, but they're clearly not. It's not like they're It's not like they're sub-pixel differences here. Come on. Does Unity's rec.overlap just not work? Geez. Okay. -2 or -0.2 and then 3.3 for the min of the main rectangle, which is basic attack punch. And then surely I don't have to check both ways, right? Surely I don't. Um, but I mean, something has to be happening if they're messed up like this. Like if they clearly are supposed to be on the same. It's also weird that that's the case. I don't quite know why it thinks that they're the same. That's odd to me. Jeez. All right. If I go over here, I think I can tell it. I mean, I can try true. I don't really see how that would be the case. But I am going to go ahead and do this. Okay, so, or I am just legitimately curious if target rect, if doing it backwards would actually make it detect it. That would be so dumb. And I cannot imagine why that would be the case, but I am going to try it just out of curiosity. So, let's see. Let that compile, and Shazam! There we go. Take a look at it. Okay. Oh, there we go. Say a little bit of a hang up there. Let's hit the troll. Feeling really bad about hitting the troll so many times. Okay, let's battle here. Come on. You know you want to overlap. There we go. Kick and punch are overlapping. So let's look for kick. Punch. What? I'm sorry. Why is there nothing for kick and punch? There's kick and attack. Huh. Interesting. So punch and kick or kick and punch, but I don't really. There we go. That's weird. They're out of order. Still false. Even though that's super weird. It says that they have the exact same coordinates. Oh no. I lied. It's almost the same. That one has a negative 0.2 instead of a negative 0.3. But surely that counts as overlapping. Why? Why on earth would those not be correct? I mean, geez. Okay. Let's go ahead and stop playing. The only thing I can think is that the positioning is doing it, but that doesn't make sense. It's using a vector 2. Even if I pass it a vector 3, it should only use x and y. But this doesn't seem to really be affected by that. I also don't. Let me check positioning. I must be doing something wrong here. Target dot position, target corners, target corners, target corners, target corners. All right, we'll debug main rect dot. No, not that. We'll debug rect dot position plus that. So basically, we will debug the main position for each target rect, in addition to its min and max values, because maybe those are getting set to be somewhere far off in a distant land. That's all I can really think of. Seems like a weird one, or a weird thing to have happen, but you never know. Alright. So let's go ahead and hit play. I feel kind of embarrassed that this is taking me so long. It really shouldn't have been this hard. So either I'm not thinking about it right, or I'm just drastically overcomplicating it. Possibly that. Alright, so let's go ahead and do 1. Whoa! That's interesting. So that one I saw actually flicker around. That means that it actually did have repositioning that had to happen. But that's weird. So let's look at stomp and attack. Attack, crush, stomp, kick, stomp, and attack. There we go. So what did I? Oh, I probably did one as. Yeah. Yeah, I did that wrong. Okay. That invalidates that test. Need that to be target instead of target rect position. Actually, you know what? Maybe I should do main rect position and target rect position. Because that's the only thing I can think of, right? Is that their positions are so different. Excuse me. I tried to reach my microphone to shut it off, but I failed. Sorry for sneezing in everyone's ears. All right. So let's go ahead and clear that. See what happens. You know what would probably speed this up, honestly, is if I just made a simple test scene and just kept going until I got it. That would probably work a little better. Because then I also wouldn't have to wait on random chance. Like that. So Stomp had a few. Huh? But none of them returned true. Excuse me. That's odd. How on earth could none of them return true if Stomp moves around like that? That doesn't make sense. Also, so this is Crush and Stomp, which are currently overlapped. And let's see. Crush's position is... I mean, it seems like they're within reach of each other, but they're still saying no. Surely rect.overlap is not just horrendously wrong, right? Like, it can't be... It can't be that. It can't be so imprecise that it's basically worthless. It just doesn't seem right. All right. I've been forced to make a test scene. All right. Let's go ahead and collapse everything that I don't need. Let's get rid of all of you. All right. Test. Go ahead and make a folder. We'll call this rect overlaps. Overlap. Go ahead and make a new scene. Go ahead and create a canvas. All right. Let's go ahead and clear this. Save the scene. Overlap test. All right. Let's see. So we're going to need some scripts. I guess we'll just say overlap check. So this is just literally going to be a thing that checks if it's overlapping, if its rect transform is overlapping with another rect transform. That's just going to be it. So we're going to say private void update public. Oops, not rect. Rect. Dang it, Unity. Great. Public rect transform. Other. Why are you mad? Okay. Public rect transform main. And I hate it when Unity does this. It drives me nuts. Basically what's happened is that my script has not been added to the solution, our C# project, basically. Which means that I can't see anything in Unity. I love it when it does this. And by love it, I mean I hate it with a passion of 1,000 suns. Go ahead and double click on that to open that up. Yep. So you can tell that mono behavior here is not highlighted. Freaking really. Can I just re-import it? That would be nice. Nope. Good. Well, I know how to fix it, but I hate it. It's very annoying. Basically, you just make a new C# script, and then you delete it. Or you can delete it after you're done, but either way. Basically, by adding a new script, it forces Unity to recompile everything, at which point the C# solution is regenerated. So if we let that finish, then we go back, it'll ask us to reload everything. I'll say yes, and then everything should work. I don't know why it does that, but it's very annoying. So reload all. We should see a little bit of a stutter, and then there it is. Everything's in there. So we're just going to say debug.log main.overlaps other. Very simple. Very, very simple. We're going to turn off maximize on play. Let's go ahead and add just 2 images so that we can easily see things. Come on. Come on. There we go. UI, image, UI, image. Let's go ahead and move you to be 100 to the right. We'll move you to be 100 to the left. We're going to change our main camera to just be color. It's going to be black. And then we're just going to look at this. So we're going to go ahead and throw this on here. Overlap check here. Here. Oh. So this should help us identify our scripts a little bit easier. Or our issues a little bit easier. I am also going to go ahead and add a inspector here so that I can drag this around a little bit easier while keeping an eye on the console. This might be a long and terrible thing, so I'm going to collapse it. Okay, let's go ahead and grab this. There. So it's true. Go ahead and just clear this out. So I'm going to go back here to TQ combat, or not that. Rect transform extensions. I'm just going to turn off this debug. So it's working here, but it's not working elsewhere. Hooray! That fills me with confidence. Makes me happy. Totally doesn't make me want to go swear and be very angry. So let's go ahead and just drag you around. And yep, that's about right. Okay, let's do this. Yeah. Oh, look at that. It's actually working. It's working as intended. Well, isn't that nice? Then why are you not working? Ah, dang it. So it should be working. So say at the test scene. So just go ahead and close that. I don't need it open. So great. Great. Yeah, that. I'm thinking that it's got to be. No, that doesn't make sense. Because we wait one frame, so everything should be initialized. But it's clearly not. Okay. Okay. We're gonna do some debugs here. Debug.log, attack message. So that'll let us know which attack is spawning in before it does all of its checks. We'll do attack message plus. Oops. Start. I'll grab this and end. So now we can have clearly defined boundaries to when it thinks it's done. So we can easily compare positioning at least a little bit easier. So let's try going back here. I don't really feel the desire to have these massive debugs, but I need them. So we'll let that compile. Let's go back to our sewers. I am admittedly quite vexed. I am perplexed and vexed, and I can't think of another word. Irked. I am irked and vexed at the same time. All right, so let's go ahead and hit. Let's see what happens. Because this is a little tiresome. There. See, it's weird. Because you can see Crush moving. Does it? Is it maybe getting repositioned one time too many? So basically, like it does reach a valid point, but then it recalculates one more time, and then that happens to be within bounds of something else? That seems odd, but I wouldn't discount it. I guess I could just say if if not overlaps break. Right. That might be it. It might have been me being stupid. So yeah, that would be the. Wait, no, that doesn't make sense. Well, we'll try it. I was thinking that maybe it was positioning and then not repositioning it to its correct position, but that doesn't make sense because I'm literally doing that right after I calculate x and y again. So that doesn't work. Okay, makes things a little difficult for me. Let's go ahead and play. Let's try this again. At the very least now, I'm pretty sure we're on the right track. And now that we have those debugs coming out, it does make things a little bit easier for us. Alright, so let's go ahead and do one. There. Dang it. That is clearly not correct. How can you... I don't... None of these are coming out as true. They're always coming out false, which which can't be true. Like, you understand where my conundrum is coming from. This false means that it doesn't think it's overlapping. But that cannot be the case. If it moves around this much, it means that it is overlapping. How does that work? Jeez. Let's see. So I'm saying debug target rect dot overlaps main rect, or main rect dot overlaps target rect. That means if either of those are true, which I don't think I need to do anything with that again. But yeah, how on earth can that? It cannot be false. At least one of those needs to be true. Otherwise, it would not recalculate that many times. So I'm getting conflicting messages here. Alright. That does not make sense. Let's see, negative 0.3 minus negative 0.2. That'd be it. Alright, let's try that. Maybe I need to specify true here. That would be stupid. But I don't doubt it. Allow negative scale. I don't know how it's getting negative scale, but we'll test it. It could just be my math. Oh, actually, no, I guess that would make sense, right? Because negative 0.3 minus negative 0.2 would technically be negative 0.1. So maybe that actually is the problem? Although that still doesn't solve our problem, if that were the case. Well, we'll try. We'll try again. See what happens. Because if that were the case, then I would still expect it to be correct. It's just that the debugs wouldn't be correct. So, let's try one again. There. Right there. So, Crush moved around, but attack, oh wait, no, there it was. Crush returned true once, and it moved. That's correct. But attack didn't. Attack just straight up says, nah, I'm good. But that cannot be true. Let me think. I'm a little worried. No, that can't be right. I thought that maybe the attack could still be spawning, but no, it shouldn't. It shouldn't spawn in somehow. Like I shouldn't be able to do multiple attacks spawning in while this attack is still trying to position itself, because it's all one coroutine and it's basically a loop that's waiting for everything to execute in the correct order. Um, why on earth is this so wrong? It's sometimes correct, but other times it is wrong. So hit and crush seem to react correctly, but crush and attack do not seem to be having that same thing. And again, oh my goodness, they are almost the same. The only difference is that attack has a far right coordinate of 0.3, negative 0.3, as opposed to negative 0.2. But that does not make sense. So, not good, not good, not good. Also, how in the world is that correct? How in the world can I have a rect with a min of 0.2 and a max of 0.2? That cannot be correct. Oh, jeez, this is gonna suck. Oh, jeez, I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this. Okay. I'm going to do this, I guess. This is not going to be fun, just to let you all know. We're basically going to debug the actual borders of the rect. Well, the rects. This is going to suck so hard. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. So we're going to say debug dot draw line corners 0 to corners of 1. Can I just leave it at that? Yeah, I guess I should probably specify color. Color dot red. Alright. We're basically just going to do this in sequence. 2, 3, 2, 3, 0. So that should draw our boundaries. Now, it might be a little awkward, because I'm pretty sure that it's going to go away immediately. Unless we have something that... Ah, there it is, a duration. Let's go ahead and say 2F. 2F. Alright, then let's go ahead and grab these. So I'm going to change this from corners to target corners. I suppose I should make these blue. If only so that we can make sure that they are going to be different. I get the feeling that means we're going to actually get a lot of purple lines, but should be fine. Let's see. We'll let that go, and... Shazam! Abracadabra. Kazam! There we go. Is that right? That was the Shaq movie, right? Kazam? It's not Shazam, because Shazam is something else. Shazam is, well, Captain Marvel, but Captain Marvel is called Shazam now because reasons. And Shazam is something else entirely. That is a different cartoon. It's Hanna-Barbera. Oh, 60s animation. Alright, let's go ahead and do battle. There we go. Except, dang it, I'm pretty sure that this is... Come on. Let's go all the way in. Oh, you suck. Fine, be that way. There. You can see the friggin' rectangles. So you can see all the places that it's checking. But they still somehow overlap. I don't understand. All of those are correct then. Like, all of those rects are correct. They are the correct position. But they're still overlapping. How can it be drawing correct positions? The rects are apparently correct because the corners are correct, but the rects being checked against aren't. That's so weird. Let me think. No, that doesn't make sense. It has to be. Okay. We're gonna lose this one, obviously. We're gonna try this again, and we're gonna see the first one that doubles up, basically. There. All right. So attack looks like it spawned in. I was gonna say here, then here, but that's too short, which means that that is actually the kick. So attack spawned in here, then there. All of that was correct. They don't overlap. They did overlap, but they don't anymore. That's correct. Okay. What are you? How are you happening after I've debugged end? It's not great. Not great at all. How wonderful. So, I mean, we're getting the overlap that we would expect. What's really weird is that attack is, well, no, attack is blue. That would make sense. So the red outlines are basically the ones that are checking against the new one, which is blue. Yeah, this is what I was talking about, getting some like purple going on here. That's mostly because the human eye is stupid. Okay. This is infuriating. Why? How? How can you think that you're in the correct spot? See, this is what's so confusing, is that they're clearly jumping around when they detect that they're overlapping. So it looks like that crush was down here. And again, that's correct. It was overlapping. So why did it stop? Why did it stop detecting that it was overlapping there? I just don't get it. I wonder if I can clear this stuff. Debug dot. Huh. That's pretty funny, but that's not what I thought. Nope, I guess I can't clear those lines. I can only make them shorter. We'll make them 1 second. So we don't get double ups, or as many double ups. But that's really just masking the problem. Why sometimes do they return false when they should be true? Attack pattern, attacks, fi, cache transform dot overlaps attack dot cache transform overlaps. I mean, surely it is not a freaking rect transform position issue, right? I mean, I guess if worse comes to worse here, I could. No, I couldn't. They have to be vector threes, don't they? Okay. I was gonna say I could try drawing the. I guess we'll do this. God, this is gonna be a terrible coloring, a smatter of coloring. Um, so we're gonna basically take this exact same thing, except we're going to draw the rects that we generate and see what we get. So, oh goodness, this is gonna suck so hard. Oops, that didn't work. Can I say mainrect.min and have it work? Or are you gonna complain? Oh good, I can. Aha! Well, that almost works. Let's see, make u.min. Let's see. So that means you're gonna be mainrect.max. And that means that you are gonna be mainrect. Oops. Almost did that wrong. Alright, so these are going to be new vector 2s, new vector 3, whatever. We'll say mainrect.min.x and mainrect.max.y, and I guess 0f. Let's go ahead and copy that. Do that, and then we have one last one for you, so you're going to be max.x and min.y. Yep. Copy this and... Oh, hello, shield generator. Welcome back. How was your Devstream? I saw that you were tweeting about it. Hopefully it went well. I assure you that it went better than mine. Mine's been pretty infuriating. So I'm going to make these green. All right, and then we're going to make these ones, which are going to be our target rects. Target rect, target rect, target rect. Oh crap, wrong one. There we go. Target rect, 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 so on and so on and so on. And these are going to be not green, not blue, not red, which kind of, I was going to do cyan, but I think that's, we'll do cyan. Whatever. That's probably good. It's different enough from blue. Cool. So we're about to just see a bunch of rects, I'm pretty sure. Maybe I should comment out these ones, actually, since we know that they're correct. I just really want to avoid manually coding this, and I'm going to great lengths to do so. Well, then yours must have been really shitty. My Steam went awful, computer ran slow, and I couldn't even test my game. Well, that does happen sometimes. Actually, speaking of happening sometimes... Okay, never mind. I thought for a second my avatar broke again. Sometimes my avatar guy gets stuck in his own way and he refuses to talk when I talk, or he just refuses to stop talking. Then I have to reboot him. Stopped early because my computer couldn't handle it. Oof, that is pretty brutal. Okay. So we're about to see a bunch of rectangles. Okay, so let's try this out. There it is. Ha-ha! See? I knew it. Our calculations were super weird for some reason. So that's why they're wrong. Because they're just being weird for some reason. I don't... Alright. Whatever. That means that I'm going to change my approach. So that means... What? How how's that wrong? It should be. It's like its width is just nothing. But that is really odd to me. So I guess I could do math F. Hold on. So if it's okay, so that might be our problem. Yeah, I need to add more features to him. Still, he's he's cool, but he's definitely got a long way to go. Got to get him to emote more, and also flip sides so that he's not constantly facing one side. Especially since that side is away from the monitor. It's kind of weird having him just like talk off screen like that. I feel like he should talk into the center of the video. I guess I could fix that just by moving my chat and my discussion or my avatar guy to the left. That would fix it. All right, so this is height-wise, it seems correct, but for some reason our x values are not. So I guess I should say mathf.absolute of these guys. So that way, even if it's like -3 for the maximum of the x, and then -2 for the minimum, it would be -3 minus -2, which would actually be +2, which would be -1. Absolute value of that is 1. So yes, we'll see if this works. It's odd to me though that the rect just didn't work with a negative value there. I guess this will show us if that's the case. So let's try that. Feels like he's talking to the chat window on Twitch. No, that's true. Yeah. Now I have an idea for him that I want him to actually not be confined to his box. So eventually he'll be able to walk around the entire screen. It's just that doing that is I know how to do it, kind of. I just haven't taken the time to do it because it's one of those things where I kind of just work on him whenever I want to work, but I don't want to work on text quest. Like maybe I'm tired from working on it all day or something, and I just want something else to do. He's a nice little distraction. But over the months within the past year, I think I've expanded on him. Like the shifting colors behind him, I think helps soothe things. It makes him a little bit more of a soothing thing to look at. Nope, that didn't work. So all of our rects are still just... Do they seriously have a width of 0? Alright, I'm going to debug that because I want to know. Debug.log mainRect.width plus plus target rect.width. Okay, let's put a divider in there so I don't confuse the two. Oh, right, and then also I would like eventually to integrate like Twitch chat commands, so people watching the stream could actually tell him to do stuff. Also, eventually I would like it whenever someone gets like cleared or something or banned, he would actually go up and like punch their names off. That would be pretty cool. But of course, that's all extra fluff work that I don't really need to do. Alright, let's go ahead and hit the troll. By the way, shield generator, what we're trying to do here is basically make it so that our attacks can't overlap. It just has not been going well. So, yeah, it thinks that it's operating on like a teeny tiny number. Somehow. That doesn't make sense, but sure, why not? I mean, I'm not doing this in a stupid way. So corners 2 should be the top right corner of the rect transform, and corners 0 should be the bottom left. But clearly trying to subtract x from those two is not... Oh. Oh no. It's because of the z-axis, isn't it? Hold on. It's because... Yeah, it's because of the z-axis. Ah, it's because my level is rotated. Ah, that sucks. Yeah. Yep. Foolish. It was foolish of me. Yeah, that would be why. Because they have a z problem. Ah, okay. Jeez. Increase the size of my code editor. Is that a little bit better? I don't have a lot of room to work with. So that's zoomed in by 1. Does that look better? I can zoom it in a little bit more, but at that point it gets like really hard for me to read. Kinda. Typically I like to work at that position, but I think I can do that. Yeah, so that's not ideal. I think I can get around this somewhat. I just have to... Oh, jeez. Oh, man. I just have to rotate. No, that doesn't... Yeah, well, yeah. Do I even have that right now? Hold on, let me try vector 3, t, and then t dot... No, I don't have a rotate function, because of course I don't. I've written that for work, but not for myself. Jeez. Basically what needs to happen is I need to check the rotation of the rect transforms being passed in, and then I need to negate that transform, or that rotation, by rotating those vector 3s. Collider 2D.casts. Are you talking about basically the physics 2D stuff? I know that there are basically ways for physics colliders to check if they're overlapping in 2D, but I don't want to include 2D physics because I'm not using 2D physics anywhere else. Wait. Oh. I lied. I might be. Well, in that case... that might work. But the problem is I don't want to have... these things don't need physics on them. It seems like unnecessary overhead to have physics when these objects are never going to be collided with. I would purely be using physics as a crutch. I feel like arriving at a purely mathematical solution would be better because it means that I don't need to rely as much on the 2D physics system and having that extra overhead. I would like to avoid that if at all possible. As you can see by the fact that I've been going at this for like 2 hours now. Oh my god, it's 9:30. Yeah, but I refuse to give up until I do this. So, right, I really don't want to do trigonometry though right now. So I might take a shortcut. And simply say, if... No, hold on. So let's try this. I guess alternatively, actually, can I combat environment. Are you rotated? You are rotated. No, the wall light is. Sewer combat is not. Sewer combat was because I was stupid when I modeled this. This is why you should model consistently. I modeled with the Z going left to right instead of front to back like you're supposed to. I could rotate it, but I really don't want to. Because that would break everything else. Maybe you don't even need Rex, you know, the height and width of each word, so just make sure the distance between the center points is greater than each text half width and half height combined. Well, that's true, but the point was that I wanted a simple way to just to check if these two rects were overlapping, because the point that's sampled is random. But I guess, I mean, that would work. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let me go ahead and come over here. So that means that we would want to change this. Oh my, it's so big. I gotta shrink it down a little bit. Let's see, not combat view, attack pattern. I mean, that would work, I guess. I just didn't want to. Do you have a separate scene for the battle? Seems like a lot of extra dev time for each encounter. Yeah. Well, I mean, I have to have a separate scene because they're different mechanics. They're because you can't move around, you can't interact with things. Obviously, it's all the combat interface. So it's yeah, it's basically an entire separate level. It's inspired by like Paper Mario and Final Fantasy and all that. You know, the whole separate battle screen thing. I wanted to have that sort of presentation. But yeah, I figured that it would be it's a little bit of extra dev time, but it makes it feel a little bit, you know, more I don't want to say homage, but a little bit more on point for what it's supposed to be. But yeah, I guess you're right. We can just manually do that with math here. Certainly a less complicated approach than this. So I am going to go ahead and put a to-do here so I don't forget that I need to do that at some point here. Need to make sure the rects are not rotated or handle rotation calculations for corners. There we go. So let's see. Then yeah, we can just do. I guess that also means that we don't have to reposition this every time. So that actually helps a lot. Instead, we can simply say for each attack. Let's see. So let's go through here. And we would want to get its position plus its width, correct? So we would want to say let's see. How do we want to phrase this? Cache transform dot size delta. Yeah, I know that you're going to give me a red squiggle. Let's see. To say, make sure the distance between the center points is greater than each text half width and half height combined. Yes. So we would want to just make sure that if x, oh, but I have to do, great, is less than attacks by dot cache transform dot. Nope, I gotta do. Oh, geez, that's gross. Let me think. I basically want to get. I'm trying to avoid making super complicated lines of code here, so I might have to go into. Well, no. Hold on. Do I have a left? Nope. That would be nice. I'm going to do that, actually. That would be good. That's a good thing for rect transforms. So let's go ahead and say, ooh, crap. You've got to be kidding me. All right, yeah, no, that'll work. The other option is to have a gesture manager and switch out the control scheme, rotate the camera. I'm not sure if that accounts for all the things from combat. Mean a lot less time developing separate battle scenes. Well, the problem is that I actually need to have separate battle scenes because if we go back, you can see that this battle scene isn't really the same as the overworld where you come into it. I don't have. I'm basically missing an entire wall. I have some geometry where I didn't have geometry in the overworld, and I don't have geometry in certain portions that I did have geometry in the overworld. It's largely so that you, one, have a very combat tailored experience, like it looks like a completely different area, and also if I didn't do this, then you could like drop an item in the middle of the combat area, and then when you transition to combat it would still be there, and I feel like that would be kind of awkward. So I like having them be in a separate area. It just gives me a little bit more control over it to make it look better. All right, so we're going to go ahead and say, grab this. We're going to say public static. I guess, no, we'll make it a vector 3. Get, do I want to do get min? I think that's actually what I want to do. Say this, rect transform, rect, and then we're just going to do pretty much this. Grab this. You. And then we're just going to say return corners of 0. So that's our bottom left corner. I suppose I should also go ahead and say this, get max, and this is going to be 2. Same thing, which means that I can come over here and I can say cast transform dot get min. Oh, geez, I have to say... no, that... Yep. Okay, that's to it. .x. I'm going to assume, in all of my code, that I'm going to be using the correct axes, which means that I'm going to rotate my entire level to get this to work. That angers me so very much. So we're going to say minus, oh, and actually, you know what, we're going to say x plus attack dot cache transform dot, size delta dot x divided by 2f is less than get min dot x. So that's correct. So I guess actually what we're going to do is we're going to say if it's, jeez, I hate doing this. I hate doing rect calculations like this because they just turn into massive chains of terrible spaghetti. So this is basically going to ensure that our x position is plus half of the width of our attack's transform is less than the leftmost x position of the attack that we're checking against. Excuse me. So that should ensure that at least is not overlapping. And see, but that's the thing, is I can't just, yeah, okay, hold on. Let me think. I just hate writing these types of code because there's a bunch of things that you have to check. You basically need to make sure that the max is less than the min, or, well, no, I guess. Okay, so yeah, we'll just do it that way. That's much easier. So this checks if the max of our new attack is less than the min of another attack. Okay. Or basically you're going to do the same thing. Do that. Then we're going to say minus is greater than. We're going to say get max dot x. Okay. Then we're going to do another or. Go ahead and grab this. Say y plus size delta dot y is less than get min dot y, or I guess actually these should all be and. No, they shouldn't be and. They should be. Yeah, this is why I didn't like this. Let's see. Minus tax I transformed dot get min. So this should be get max. Oops. There we go. Dot y. Okay, so if for some reason I always have trouble doing the rect stuff. I hate thinking about it. So if our exposition plus half of our width is less than the minimum exposition of an attack we're checking against, or if the left side of this is higher than the right side. See, but that's the thing, is it's not an or case here. I need to check that at least two of these are correct. Which means that I basically need to check if... No, hold on. Let me think. Yes, if any of those are correct, then actually we should be in the clear. I believe that's fine. I think that's right. So we basically want to just wrap all of this in a knot. And then if that's the case, we're going to say overlaps is equal to true. All right, let's go ahead and try that out. I think that'll work. Let's go ahead and copy this entire thing too. Oops, I missed one. Is that right? Let's see. Do I have any plans for VR? I have ideas. I will not implement them until until the game actually goes on sale. Well, not on sale. Until the game is being sold. If enough people like the game, then there are a couple of ideas that I have for adding content post launch. The main one would be a 3D level editor, so people can make 3D first-person text-based adventures, similar to how our Saturday Devstreams were doing custom 2D like text-based adventures, like their classic text-based ones like Zork. After that, if there's still enough interest, I would probably do a VR version. I have some ideas on how to make that work, because obviously you can't use a keyboard with VR. So that would involve probably speech to text, but that didn't work. Which means that this is not coming out to be true, which means that I thought about it wrong. But yeah, I do have some ideas on how to make it work, but it's not something that I can focus on. I need to make sure that I can finish the base game first, and make that as good as possible before I try to do VR for it. I also don't really know what I would do in VR necessarily. Like I can think about how to do locomotion and how you would interact with things, but I don't know what I would try to have you do gameplay wise that would be particularly interesting. Because you can't type, which means that you would be basically relegated to shouting. Oh, and I guess this should break. That would be one reason as to why maybe that was happening. Let's try that again. That might have just been me being silly. Come on. Compile. I command you. There we go. Oh, you know what else we can do? I think I can actually remove Cinema Director. Don't really need that anymore. Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. On-screen keyboard typing would be way too slow and boring. So I could do voice commands because both Oculus and Vive have mics, but that would involve a lot of speech to text, which I am not a huge fan of. Oh, come on. Oh, right. Duh. Because I forgot to rotate my level. So we're going to rotate the level and we're going to see what breaks. I really hope nothing does, but I get the feeling a lot of things will. All right. 90 degrees. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. This is just not going to go well. I am really terrified of what's going to happen here. I just know that my cutscenes are going to, like, break horribly. Oh, the orb stuff. Yeah. I mean, the last thing I want to do is try to teach people how to type on a different keyboard in VR. Oh, jeez. Okay, no, yeah, that worked pretty well. I think our light maps got borked. But aside from that, no! Also, what the heck is going on there? Huh. Yeah. So that didn't calculate correctly still. Yeah, just... Jeez. So that was apparently not good enough. Well, no, maybe I rotated incorrectly. Because wouldn't I want -90? No. Yeah. I want it to be like this, right? So let's try that. Maybe that will help. If not, I'm going to have to just rethink how I'm doing this. Because clearly I have created an abomination. And it should not take me 3 hours just to get overlapping rect transforms to not happen. Come on. Really? Great. So I'm just thinking about this wrong, about how to check my bounds. So if our max Y is less than... Oh, dang it. You were there. So that's certainly part of it. And if our minimum Y is greater... also, that's backward. No, yeah. If none of that is true, then that means that overlapping is happening. So... Spent 3 hours today trying to get HTML text to sparkle and still failed. Decided to leave it yellow. I'm not sure how you would do that, honestly, sparkling. I guess that would be a bunch of CSS tricks with like animated backgrounds or something. Okay, let's see. Nope, of course not. Why would it? Alright. Nope, come on. Okay, fine. You're gonna be like that. Positive. You're not going to tell me anything because that's a rect transform. You're not going to tell me anything because that's a rect transform. Let's see. Yep, that's positive. That's negative, so I'm at least rotated the right way. Well, thanks for stopping by. I might call it a night too. I clearly just need to rethink how I'm doing combat. Dang it. Not a high note to end up on. Well, but it's almost 10 and I'm kind of blah. And I'm going to go put my head through the wall. So, that's not a pretty good place to stop for the night, but that is where we're going to stop for the night. Announcements. This Saturday, I will not be doing my Devstream. I'm going to be out of town again because I was invited to a Halloween get-together, even though I know Halloween was last week. Well, technically it was this week, but not technically, factually it was this week. So I'm going to be out of town on Saturday, which means I'm not going to be at my computer, so I cannot do my Devstream on Saturday. But Sunday might be okay, so I might be able to do the recap and talk about my miserable failure today. But yeah, that's where we're going to stop for the day. As always, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.